Coming up on BBC London. They say they're living in a daily nightmare. The Camden residents whose flats have been deemed worthless and not fit for purpose.
My future's been stolen from me, my money's been stolen from me, my mental health's been stolen from me. It's been a across-the-board catastrophic experience for me.
Also on the programme this evening, a former Metropolitan Police officer is found guilty of gross misconduct for failing to properly investigate Wayne Couzens days before he murdered Sarah Everard. The East London Theatre wanting a black-only audience, although they say whites who turn up will still be allowed. And
I'm Michael Ball and I'm going to be telling you all about my returning to the musical that really made my name, Aspects of Love, which is on at the Lyric Theatre in Shaftesbury Avenue.
very good evening. I'm Asad Ahmed, a resident who spent nearly £1 million on a new build flat just a few years ago, says it's ruined his life and he's now left with a home which is practically worthless. Daniel Bruce is one of several residents at 53 Agar Grove in Camden who's faced problem after problem with the building. Even the government says the situation there is deplorable. Guy Lynn went to take a look himself.
This is supposed to be the wall of Daniel's home. And yes, it seems to move. You'd be forgiven for thinking with scenes like these that this place may have been constructed 100 years ago, rather than in 2018.
We've had massive leaks through the main building roof. This started not long after we moved in. You just wouldn't expect this in a new build.
When you walk over here,
Yep.
it's actually like going down a slope.
It drops, and so either something's raised or something's dropped, but that sounds like a big structural issue to me.
Daniel invested his life savings into buying his dream home with a value of £850,000. Now, with all the problems, he's been told it's worth absolutely nothing.
I've done okay for myself, and then all of a sudden that's been stolen from me. My future's been stolen from me, my money's been stolen from me, my mental health's been stolen from me. It's been a across-the-board catastrophic experience for me.
Check out some snapshots and videos from a few months ago. From collapses to leaks, whatever can go wrong apparently seems to, all the time. And if you think that wasn't bad enough, best of luck dealing with a flood, fire or theft, because no one here can get a single insurance company to cover them.
There's a hole.
And Dan's not alone. Everyone in this building has experienced similar problems.
We have official valuations that show from the agents that tell us that as it stands, with all the problems that it has, it's unsellable.
And what's that like for you?
Well, it's scary because I don't, for a start, I don't know how long this building is going to stand. I cry a lot, you know. I hope this isn't the case, but I feel like my life is ruined.
The developer Prime Metro Company say this project was undertaken in good faith, with government-approved inspectors, they say, certifying it all. They didn't build it. That was Site Construction, who told us they're trying to resolve the matter. As a last resort, Daniel was relying on a warranty protecting him from defects from Acasta European Insurance, who are yet to pay out and continue, they say, engaging with all parties. It's all a bit of a mess, which has left a huge impact on those here.
I had in mind a fantastic New York loft-style apartment where I was going to build the next stage of my life. It was going to be completely mine, the first home that I've owned. I've always rented previously, and I was going to just do absolutely everything that I wanted with it. It was going to be my sanctuary, and it's turned out to be the complete opposite of that.
The big question, of course, is how on earth can you buy a home in London in the 21st century and be forced to live day in, day out in what's supposed to be a new build that looks like this?
Guy, I'm going to pick up on that question you asked. How can something like this happen in London nowadays?
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? Because say you were to go and buy a computer, for example, your keyboard would go wrong. You'd be able to just take it back a few days later and get some sort of redress for that. When you invest, as Dan did, hundreds of thousands of pounds in the biggest purchase of his life and then suffered catastrophic problems. Basically, for people like him, the onus is on the buyer to seek some sort of redress. And this can be unbelievably expensive, even more tens of thousands of pounds to spend. I just want to add, Assad, that we have got we've been getting some political reaction to this story from Michael Gove, Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. He has called the situation of these people deplorable. He's also offered to meet up with those residents to discuss it. We've also got, on the back of that, a reaction from Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party and a local MP, taking Michael Gove to task, saying, why haven't you done this yet? You need to get on with it, and saying, why hasn't it happened? We asked Michael Gove, the minister, to come on and do an interview. He wasn't available this evening. I should say that it is pretty depressing when you sort of widen it out beyond this example, that we have been receiving other examples of other people who have faced similar situations, similar problems with new builds. We will definitely be following this.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we'll watch very closely. Guy, thanks very much for that. Well, housing is a big issue in London, as Guy's been talking about there, and I can tell you more than 2 million people have already read that story of the flats on our website. We've also been getting lots of emails in too. Now, we do read them all, so if you have a story on housing which you'd like to share with us and for us to take a look into, email us at hellobbclondon@bbc.co.uk. We'll now look at what's still to come on BBC London tonight. Don't Stop Peddling, the new campaign to make sure children keep going with sport.
And join me later for a full weather forecast from the winning garden here at the Chelsea Flower Show.
A former Metropolitan Police officer who carried out an investigation involving murderer Wayne Couzens has been found guilty of gross misconduct. It was because Samantha Lee had failed to properly investigate indecent exposure allegations against Couzens just hours before he kidnapped and murdered Sarah Everard. Well, Miss Lee claims she's been made a scapegoat. Here's our correspondent, Carl Mercer.
On her way to being found guilty of gross misconduct, former Met Police Constable Samantha Lee. The panel she was about to face ruling that her investigation into Wayne Couzens' indecent exposure at McDonald's staff had been sloppy. Her lie about not seeing CCTV of the two incidents, one that she continued throughout the hearing. This was the CCTV she claimed not to have seen when Wayne Couzens twice exposed himself to staff at a McDonald's drive-through in Swanley. The disciplinary panel said that former PC Lee's handling of the initial investigation showed sloppiness and lack of attention to detail. She kept witness statements and receipts that showed that Wayne Couzens was at McDonald's in her body armour for more than a week. They found that that was misconduct. But they went on to find her guilty of gross misconduct for saying she hadn't seen any CCTV of Wayne Couzens at the McDonald's. They say that was a lie brought on by stress and panic when she realised that Wayne Couzens was the main suspect in the murder of Sarah Everard. Samantha Lee left the Met a year ago, but the panel ruled that if she'd still been a serving officer, she would have been dismissed.
So I feel like I have been a scapegoat. I'm a young female PC and I'm the only person who has faced any disciplinary action in relation to this. There is only one person who's responsible for everything that happened, and that is Wayne Couzens. I have never lied. I don't think it has been a fair investigation from the start when I was declined disclosure and legal advice months after the incident, which were my basic rights for the investigation.
Sarah Everard's case has highlighted concerns over the way the Met deals with cases involving violence against women, including concerns over sometimes dealing with indecent exposure cases as lower priority crimes.
Obviously, we want policing to improve and we always want there to be progress, but it feels like there's this fantasy that if it happened today and everybody did everything right, that there would be a different outcome, when in fact, nothing has been done to make us any safer. If a serving police officer flashed someone today, they could still go on to do exactly what they did and what Wayne Couzens did.
On the back of today's ruling, the Independent Office for Police Conduct has called for a new system to be set up so that police forces know when officers are accused of crimes. And London's Mayor has also announced a new policing board designed to oversee and monitor the work of the Met. Carl Mercer, BBC South East Today.
Well, let's take a brief look at some other stories making the headlines this Tuesday, the 23rd of May. Climate change protesters have clashed with drivers and disrupted Shell's annual general meeting. A spokesperson for the company said it welcomed constructive engagement and pointed to its plans to become net carbon zero by 2050. Detectives in East London investigating a series of prank videos posted on social media have arrested an 18-year-old. One of the videos showed people apparently entering a private house in Hackney without the owner's permission. Scotland Yard says it doesn't underestimate the widespread upset and distress the videos have caused. Southeastern, Southern, Southwestern and Thameslink railways, as well as the Gatwick Express, are banning e-scooters from the 1st of June. The move follows a similar announcement by Great Western. It's being brought in because of what the operators say are increased fire risks. A one-night theatre show for black people is provoking strong feelings after the Royal Stratford East Theatre asked white people not to attend. They can't legally enforce it, so they're calling the performance of Tambo and Jones a blackout performance, thereby asking white people not to go. I spoke to the play's artistic director, Nadia Fall, and asked her if it was right to specify what colour an audience should be.
When we knew we were going to do a run of the play, we thought we'd earmark one evening as a blackout night, which is an evening where we make space for black audiences to come together and experience the play as a community. So it's not about saying no to people, it's about welcoming people. We would never, absolutely never say and turn away anybody, but it is.
But you are asking white people not to come, isn't that right? You are asking white people not to come. You may not turn them away, but you're saying, please don't come on this night.
Well, we're not going to turn anybody away, and, you know, we would ask the question, why would you like to come on this evening? But the focus isn't on who's allowed in and who isn't. The focus is about it's centering black audiences and community and welcoming them that evening.
In Newham, where the theatre is, white people are actually statistically, according to the last census, in the minority. Would you be happy and comfortable for another theatre, another production to be having a white night?
No, because in this instance, we're talking about welcome, and we have, you know, and I understand it's not for everybody, by the way. I understand, and that's why we have 28 performances that aren't blackout nights. But we are experts on our community. We've been here for almost 140 years. We know our audiences, and we always think of new ways of bringing them in. And this is just one offer on one evening.
The fact that you say it's OK to do for a blackout, but you wouldn't be happy for it to be a whiteout, doesn't that make it racist?
No, I think it's the opposite of racism, and that's a misunderstanding of the idea of racism. This is about, you know, about a community, and it's not about turning people away. We would never do that. And yeah, and I think there are those that have tried to stoke that idea and willfully misquote us.
Do you think it sends out the right signal in this multicultural borough, multicultural city, multicultural world we're living in now?
I think it does. I mean, I've had a lot of correspondence with our audiences, our theatre family, and, you know, our staff, and we've had a lot of support for this.
That was Nadia Fall from the Theatre Royal Stratford speaking to me a little earlier. Now, getting children to simply enjoy sport is behind an idea which is hoped could lead to more Olympic medals for Team GB in the future. The campaign is called Play Their Way, and it aims to champion a playful and fun approach to becoming more physically active. Chris Legg has more.
No shortage of skills on show at Peckham BMX Club this morning. They've helped create Olympians here. But winning has never been the most important thing at this track.
You've got to be having a good balance, that you don't make it too hard, that before they get to somewhere like the British team, that they have it so hard that they give up before they get there. So you want to make it fun and you want to listen to what they want to do.
That emphasis on fun is why Sport England and UK Coaching chose the club to launch their Play Their Way campaign.
Everybody knows that sport can be fun, but not everybody knows that sometimes kids are not enjoying it. It's the single biggest driver of participation in sport is enjoyment and fun. So Play Their Way is a way of helping coaches who've got a lot to think about, helping coaches to put the fun into the sport.
Play Their Way has been launched by Sport England on the back of a survey which asked children who regularly participate in sports whether they strongly agreed with the statement that they enjoyed doing so. Only 47% said they did.
The Peckham projectile ready to launch himself onto this course.
Kai White won Britain's first ever BMX Olympic medal in Tokyo. He started riding at Peckham aged 3.
Not all coaches are easy to speak to or friendly. They might be super strict. So if a kid feels like they can come up and speak to the coach and ask for their input and their opinions on how they can be better or whatever, I think it's a great thing.
The coaches aren't fussy, so it's like way more fun and you can enjoy it with your friends.
They just make you feel free, like they let you be yourself. They don't care if you're different, they just let you be yourself.
The coaches know what level you're at, so they can push you to your limits and like help you do stuff that you never thought you could do before.
This is a place where a lot of young people are having a lot of fun. So Peckham BMX is a great club, great facility, and not only are they producing Olympians, which they've done here with Kai White, but more importantly, they're giving a brilliant experience to hundreds of local kids.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
The Peckham approach is something UK sport hopes more clubs can use to keep more young people active for longer. Chris Slegg, BBC London.
Now, 34 years after his life changed thanks to his spectacular performances in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Aspects of Love, Michael Ball is back, giving a whole new generation the chance to see him in the same role. Opening night is on Thursday, but he took time out today to speak to Alice Bandakravi.
Love changes. Michael Ball with his hit single Love Changes Everything on Top of the Pops in 1990. It was the breakout success from the musical Aspects of Love which had propelled him to stardom.
To have a big hit with that, find myself on Top of the Pops, on Newsroom Southeast, on Wogan, on all these shows, made people who weren't so aware of theatre aware of who I was. So yes, absolutely changed my life.
The Andrew Lloyd Webber musical was a huge success, and now it's being performed once again with Michael Ball playing the other male lead this time.
This is so personal. This is so wrapped up in all of my life. It was a production originally that completely changed my life. So to be back here, seeing what we make of it 34 years later, and to be getting the response we have, to be realising a production that I think in a lot of ways exceeds the original, and to have the boss, to have Andrew Lloyd Webber be so enthusiastic.
It's a very sweeping and romantic story about four people whose lives intertwine over 20 years. It's a great big romance epic, but it also has all of the elements of, you know, the great musicals that we know and love, comedy, you know, fabulous numbers, sweeping romances, of course, but there's a lot of messiness and gray areas in between that. So in a way, this piece is so much more for this time. It's so of this time. It's kind of startling to think it was written 34 years ago.
But basically, Jamie is your younger self.
Do you know what's really annoying? I'm sat next to someone who's 6'3", better looking, has got the most beautiful voice.
I'll pay him later.
And making me look, like an also-ran. It's really upsetting. He's phenomenal. Yes, he's playing the role that I played originally.
And obviously, you know the legend that is Michael Ball. Did you know quite what this all meant for Michael and for this musical?
I did my homework. I knew Michael's work. I was a fan already. And now I'm a super fan. No, I mean, I was obviously aware of it, but I think the enormity of it and it's something you can only really experience, and it's just an honor.
Alice Bandukravi, BBC London.
Now, the sun has been out in Chelsea in time for the full opening of the flower show. It's the kind of thing Wendy Hurrell really enjoys, so she was thrilled when we asked her to go along. And Wendy, you can tell us all about it. Wendy.
Well, I'm in the Balance Garden, which has been created in support of the Centre for Mental Health, and it's a healing space for an urban environment with a real focus on ecology. So the things you might think of as weeds are welcome here. Dandelions pushing up between cracks in the concrete, and it starts to reframe what you might think of as beautiful in a garden or space like this. The two designers are here with me. Just talk me through some of the concepts of the design here, John.
Yeah, so this is all about, as you say, the beauty of imperfection and how we can create affordable spaces for an urban community to steward themselves. So we've got some open areas which are full of crushed substrates from the local waste facilities that now wildflowers grow in. We've got beautiful perennial edibles that the community can harvest, and then at the back we've got a lovely urban mushroom farm which is nice and robust, and it's all about a community coming together and stewarding and gardening and having a healing experience together.
Yeah, wonderful. And there's some shade, it protects us from the weather, and I know after this show it lives on, it's going to Tottenham, so tell me why Tottenham and where it's going to be.
Absolutely, so it's really important for us this felt legit, because this is going to a legit space in Markfield Park in Tottenham, and where we'll be doing it on a much bigger scale, so all of these principles will be laid out throughout Markfield Park. But what's really exciting about that is working with the Centre for Mental Health. They create evidence-based research, so we can do a before and after. So the mental health benefits, community benefits, the ecological benefits, it's all provable. So then we create the blueprint of how we can roll these out nationwide.
Yeah, wonderful. And this is a place that needs these urban, these urban green spaces, isn't it? Because it's not always affordable to start a garden like this.
Exactly, and it's about gardening with a lighter touch and letting the wild back into our lives. And again, that's a great symbol of mental health as well, rather than having control over everything, just letting everything breathe a little bit and learning to live with it.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for talking to me about your garden. I have been in here for about 45 minutes now, really calm. I'm really very calm. And it's also worth saying that there are plants here that are climate resistant. There is a little bit of shade for when it gets really hot. So these are things worth thinking about in the garden as well at the moment. And these are plants that will withstand whatever is thrown at them in terms of the weather. And I know not too far away from here, in another garden, we are going to get the forecast. And this evening it comes from Elizabeth Rizzini. Hello, thank you, Wendy. Yes, I'm here in Horatio's garden, which has just won the very prestigious award here, Best Show Garden at the Chelsea Flower Show this year. Now, it's a very special garden because it's the first one designed here specifically with wheelchair users in mind. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm here with the charity's founder, Horatio's Garden. It's Dr. Olivia Chappell. Olivia, congratulations on the award. It's lovely here. Tell us all about it.
So this is Horatio's Garden at the Chelsea Flower Show, but it's a reflection and a distillation of Horatio's gardens around the country that we're bringing beautiful gardens into the NHS spinal injury centres. At the Spinal Injury Centre in London, we have a beautiful garden there, which it's all about improving lives of people who've had life-changing injuries and are spending a long time in hospital.
Of course, I can see that all the flowers are at different levels.
Exactly, the paths are completely flat. The multi-layered plant is you can enjoy it from a hospital bed or a wheelchair or from walking. It's about not compromising on the aesthetic because something needs to be accessible.
Of course. Well, tell us all about the inspiration for the garden.
So the inspiration for the garden came from my eldest son, Horatio, who wanted to be a doctor and as a young volunteer saw that patients who were spending a long time in hospital would really benefit from having access to nature, to the outside, to really find hope, find adjustment and improve their well-being in a really difficult time.
Well, what a wonderful legacy and such a beautiful garden. Congratulations on the award and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, it is a beautiful evening here at Chelsea. The sun has just come out from behind the clouds. Temperatures weren't spectacularly high today. We got to just over 18 degrees Celsius in Heathrow. But of course, because we've got the sunshine now, then we will see clear skies this evening. So overnight tonight, with those clear skies, it's set to feel a little bit chillier than it was last night. In fact, I think some of our rural spots could even see lows of around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, perhaps with those light winds into tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow, a beautiful day of weather. Now, there will be a lot of blue sky and sunshine around tomorrow, and I think it's going to feel a little bit warmer than today. Of course, if you're coming here to Chelsea, then you have to watch out for the pollen and the UV levels as well. Lots of sunshine, a bit more fair weather cloud through the afternoon with highs of 21 or even 22 degrees Celsius towards the south. So lovely and warm. Watch out for the UV levels, of course. There will be subtle differences day on day as we head through the rest of the week, but it certainly is going to be warm. There's going to be a lot of sunshine around. High pressure keeps us dry and settled, possibly just a little cooler by the time we get to Friday. But of course, it's a bank holiday weekend. No one told the weather. It's just going to be lovely. Temperatures will rise perhaps as high as 22, 23 degrees Celsius by the time we get to Saturday. And by Sunday and bank holiday Monday, we could possibly be a little bit higher than that. There's going to be a lot of sunshine around, dry and settled for the rest of the week, and perhaps even into much of next as well. But for now, I'll leave you a gorgeous evening here in Chelsea. The sunshine's set to continue. Back to you in the studio.
Elizabeth, and before that, Wendy from the Chelsea Flower Show. Thanks very much. Looks beautiful. Now, before we go, a reminder of some of the day's main news headlines. The BBC has been given CCTV footage which appears to show a police van following two teenage boys moments before they were killed in a collision in Cardiff. It led to rioting last night. South Wales Police and Crime Commissioner denied reports that officers had been chasing the boys. Residents who spent nearly £1 million on a new build flat in Camden just a few years ago say they're living a nightmare. Defects have been discovered at 53 Agar Grove. Experts have deemed the block unfit for purpose. And a former Metropolitan Police officer who investigated Wayne Couzens for flashing days before he murdered Sarah Everard has been found guilty of gross misconduct. At a hearing, Samantha Lee was found to have lied about her actions. Well, that's it for now, but Alice Bander-Kravi will be back with our late news tonight at 10:30 on BBC One. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow. In the meantime, you can get all the very latest on our website at the usual address, also our social media platforms, and do get in touch with us. From all of us here, bye-bye.